Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews, and Eve Levin enjoys by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com and over 40 podcast platforms heard in 100 countries, including HamiltonRadio.net, Oldies FM, and Diamonds Radio more, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. For great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, baseball gear, and more. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books I'm Missing, Once and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with a terrific lady who is a former hiring manager and author of an upcoming book, CEO of Job Coach Amy, and 25 years experience as executive and hiring manager to help professionals at all levels in their respective fields and find and keep and what makes them happy. We'll talk about that, especially in today's job market. Also, she also focuses on career coaching for millennials and Generation Zs, and also globally in a wide variety of industries like finance, counseling, media, health, and just about everything you name that she can help you with that. Her book is called College to Career and Explained, which is tools, tips, and confidence for your job search. It's from Epigraph Books and live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Boston, the author of the amazing book, College to Career Explained, ladies and gentlemen, the multi-talented Amy Feind Reeves. Amy, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
What's great to have Well, it's great to have you on board too, Amy. So you're a former hiring manager and author of the upcoming book, College to Career Explained, also CEO of Job Coach Amy. You've been doing this for 25 years. You also help focus on career coaching for millennials and Generation Z or Gen Z, and globally in a wide variety of industries. And you also talk about in the book, College to Career Field, employee retention, true cost of employees, today's job market, and more. And before getting to all that, Amy, tell us how you first got started.
I sure will, and it'll tie together some of those very broad-ranging and varying subjects that you talked about, so it makes a little more sense. I'll kind of start in the middle, which I encourage people strongly not to do, but it'll make a little more sense. So I started out of college with a terrible, terrible experience trying to find a job. I had gone to a good college. I had a good GPA. I had done everything that I thought I was supposed to do. And I completely failed at trying to get an interview at the job that I wanted, which was, this was the 80s and everybody was flocking to Wall Street. The best and the brightest were supposed to go there. And my friends were all getting jobs there. And I thought, how hard could it be? So I made my best effort and I failed miserably. So I got a job out of the New York Times classifieds, which kids ask your parents what those are. And I wound up working as an admin for a year, and I taught myself how to get one of those jobs. I learned everything I could about what my friends were doing, what they actually, were rewarded for, what the key performance indicators were, what kind of knowledge they had to bring with them. And I got a job on my first interview. Turned out I really liked it and I was good at it. And what was the difference between the year before? And the answer was that there are a lot of things nobody ever told me. So 30 years later, I had a great career. I was a banker. I got my MBA at Dartmouth. I became a global management consultant. I started and sold a small company. I became a corporate executive, a nonprofit executive. I did a lot of really great and fun things all of which I loved. And the whole time, anytime anyone came into the office and said, "Oh, I have a nephew graduating or a neighbor trying to get into this business," I would always raise my hand and say, "I'll help them. I love doing that. It's so hard." And it was a weird hobby, but it was a hobby. I
Hmm.
also, at some point in my life, needed to find a job and make a transition as a mid-career level executive because I suddenly found myself as a single mother with a 2-year-old, and I'd always had very travel intensive jobs, and suddenly I could no longer afford to have a travel intensive job, and I couldn't afford a pay cut. So I made that transition too, and in both of those instances, I couldn't find any resources to help me. So fast forward again, and in 2012, my second husband said to me, "What is it you really, really want to do?" And I didn't even have to think twice. This was what I really, really wanted to do. So I my weird hobby and turned it into a career. So I put together a methodology. I started Job Coach Amy, and since then I've been working with people actually at all levels as well as companies, trying to help them find careers and or stay happy at the ones that they have, and working with companies to try to make very simple but high impact changes to the way that they work with their employees to do performance reviews, retain their employees, do management, which I think has become a forgotten practice in today's age. And a lot of things that I learned in as being a consultant in across a very wide variety of industries, and I'm really, really happy with it. My first book is College to Career, which was my first love, and it's very practical. There's a lot of very basic tips that I thought would be very common sense, but in reality, it's the foundation of a methodology I use with executives all the way up to the C-suite, and I've been successful with.
Hmm, that sounds really interesting too. And I thought about the book. It's like when it came to mind when you wrote that book, and also having all these careers. What color is your parachute? It seemed to make me think about that. So I don't know what your take on that is. What color is your parachute? It made me think of that when you talked about it.
Yeah. So, What Color is Your Parachute is a fantastic book. It is written by psychologists, which I am not. My book is very tactical. It tells you what to do first of all, it starts out saying that, look, don't feel like you have no experience, because if you are a fairly successful human being by the time you get to college or get to age 18 or get to age 20, you have saleable skills. So if you get along well with people and build relationships, that's something people want because you can develop sales skills. If you are really well organized, if you're detail oriented, if you perform well under pressure, which guess what? If you waitressed for summers during college or high school, those are 3 skills that you get. Whether or not it's in a job description, I'm so sorry. Those are whether or not it's in a job description, those are 3 skills that every manager wants in every role. That's something that's common across all jobs. And you just know how to put that into a saleable resume, make those skills visible, get you into past ocular readers, and have people say, wow, these are skills that are transferable. It gives kids confidence. It puts it out front for a hiring manager. And that's what we want. That's what we want to see, is that you have the confidence, you have the understanding, you know what goes on in a business. I actually start out with how to find out what jobs there are, because I think that's one of the biggest problems, is that most people don't like talking about work when they're not doing it. There's a lot of kind of lingo to explain. There's a lot of very detailed explanations about how what you do contributes to the company you work for, and how that contributes to making a product or service, especially if it's business to business. It's complex. Somebody comes up to you who's 18 or 22 and it's like, how do I do this? And you're like, oh my gosh, where do I start? It's kind of like I tell people, Imagine you had never traveled by plane before, and someone came up to you and you went up to someone and they said, "How do I travel by plane?" I mean, if that was you, Mike, where would you start? I mean, even purchasing a ticket, there's books written about it, right? So,
Hmm.
getting a job for your first time is similar. What my book does is kind of start where how does your parachute, what colors your parachute ends. It lays out end to end very specifically what's identifying what skills you have that are saleable, how those would translate into certain jobs, how you can interview people to figure out what kind of jobs they have in a way that won't make them shut down, being able to move forward and construct the tools that you need, resume, cover letter, elevator pitch, and then sets out a structure. So being able to apply to jobs online, but also augmenting that with networking and what I call professional development, which is kind of learning what you need to learn, the lingo of the market you've picked, et cetera. So it really, it doesn't just say, here's how you find someone to network. I actually do go through how to structure a networking interview. So when I say confidence, it's about really drilling down into the details, whereas what colors your parachute has a much more psychological slant as to how to find what it is that you want. What I do is present to readers how they can prepare themselves to show value to companies. And that's how I think, especially for Gen Y and Gen Z, to stand out from competition, what they really need to do.
And do you think the job market today is a lot easier to navigate than it was, like, say, 30 years ago? Or you think it's gotten more competitive?
I don't. Well, first of all of the same things that I went through, I don't know if you always went through, if you always knew you were a journalist, you might not have gone through it, but all the things that I went through are still there. If you're a history major, if you're an English major, if you're not a coder or an accountant, there's a lot of room in between those two to figure out exactly what it is that you would like to do, and you just don't know. In terms of the sheer number, once you get focused, there are more jobs. There's competition for entry level jobs in a lot of industries for sure. However, companies are also realizing as a result of the Great Resignation and in general that a bad hire is costly. Not
Mm.
only the cost of having a team, if somebody turns over, there are hard costs. So you're hiring a recruiter, you're having loss of productivity, you are, frustrating people, you're putting more onto other members of the team who are picking up the slack. There's also a lot of soft costs. There's a lot of, all the frustration associated with it, all the morale associated with it. I think that's one of the main reasons why the Great Resignation is happening, is that a lot of people started to leave and were not replaced, and their responsibilities just got pushed onto existing employees who just kind of get fed up. At any rate, the hiring standards are still very high. So yes, there's a lot more out there, and which is fantastic. There's a lot more to apply to, but companies are not lowering their standards at all and saying, hey, come on in. They're still looking for people who understand what the job is, have the skills to do it, and want the job, because those are the biggest keys to employees who are going to stay and be retained.
And of course, the true cost will cover a bit as well too, and hiring the right way and more as well too. We'll cover more of that with Amy Feind Reeves in the book College to Career Explained. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today if Feral Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, also on HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, Oldies Radio, and a few networks coming soon. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter today for great gift ideas. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia for great books and merchandise and more. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. Make sure to give generously today. We're here with the author of the book, College to Career Explain Tools, Tips, and Confidence for Your Job Search by Epigraph Books. Amy Feind Reeves here on the Mike Wagner Show. And before we get to more of your book, in over 25 years, you've been a hiring manager and also, you hire people and all that. What's been the most interesting stories that you've heard about when it comes to hiring, and maybe some more funny ones, and maybe something you can learn from, like, oh my God, it's like, why was this person in? So maybe some interesting stories you can talk about as well, too. It's like what to do and what not to do, or clever ones.
Oh gosh. That is a good question. Funny is hard. I can tell you, let me tell you a little bit about something I say in the book, which is one of the really important things that I try to get across is whenever I can, is that one of the most important things you can do in a job search is to show that you want the job. And a lot of this happens, especially to women, is people are afraid to show enthusiasm in a job interview. So they will, really talk about their skills, or they'll be able to answer questions, and they'll come in and have a set of questions they want to ask, which, by the way, is critical. You never want to have somebody say, do you have any more questions? And the answer, no. You always have more questions than you have time to ask. But just say no. And, are you interested in the role? Yes, here's why. And then you kind of get the sense that maybe they're interested, maybe they're not. And a couple days later, a thank you email or thank you note arrives and says, oh, I'd love to work with you. Everyone was so nice. Your work was so interesting. It's too late. Here's what's happened in between that time. I would invite my team in, and 5 or 6 people maybe would have started interviewing. Then a second interview would be 4 people. Then, 2 people in this final round. And I'd say to everybody, what do you think of the candidates? And they would say, well, they're kind of the same, but this one wants it more. And the job always goes to the person who wants it more. And I would encourage everybody to be as enthusiastic as they possibly can to say that they want the job in an interview, because that is really the key to us knowing that you are going to work hard at doing well at it, and that you're going to want to stay. So that's one thing. I hate to tell funny stories out of school, because I really, I don't want anyone to think that people are laughing at them when they don't do well in an interview, because I don't want it to ruin anybody's confidence. And that really is not the case. Everybody understands that it's really difficult to be in an interview. And in fact, one of the things I like to tell clients is, especially when they get discouraged about not hearing from an application or many applications, is that if the CEO of every company you've applied to and the head of HR of every company you've applied to could personally reach out and thank you for applying, they would. That is their job. A part of their job is to attract high quality candidates. But the hiring processes are so imperfect. There's usually very understaffed HR people. They're doing way too many things in way too little time. There's usually a very huge volume of applicants. They're done by people. People are imperfect. One of the examples I give in the book is, somebody might pull out, oh, you went to Colgate. There's somebody on the 3rd floor that went to Colgate. I'm going to pass it to them. And then, they send the resume, and the person's like, oh, that's interesting, but they're too busy to do anything about it. And your resume is out of the loop, and that is, nothing to do with you at all. Nothing with your skill, nothing with your talent. I mean, that's an extreme example, but one of the things that I work with, I hear a lot of our kids getting so discouraged about not getting an answer. It has nothing to do with them. It's really about the volume. It's really about the fact that hiring processes and resume review processes are imperfect.
And there's also a buzzword as well, too, is the keywords when it comes to resumes. Hear about these days, like Indeed, Career Builder, and you also have what was it, Jobs for Hire, and I'm trying to think there's another one. Let's see, I'm trying to think to see the more
Monster.
popular Monster. Yes, that's it. And what are some of the keywords that should be used and should not be used? And when it comes to resume or getting noticed, keywords have been very important these days.
Absolutely. And the reason for that, Mike, is that most companies employ what's called an ocular reader for their resumes. And that means they're key to, which is a, computer and AI screen. And what they review for are keywords from the job description. So it's keywords relative to what specifically is in the job description. So if a job description has three parts, there's usually an overview of the company, then there's an overview of the role, then there's an overview of the skills. So I usually tell people what they want to do. I'm a big fan of templated cover letters and resumes, about 85% templated, because then you can send out as many as you can, and it's a numbers game. You also want to work other things, but it's the easiest way to apply is to get out as many as you can. It's not necessarily the best way to get a job, but you got to do it, and you got to get out a lot. So what I usually tell kids is tell anybody is that their first paragraph needs to be somewhat customized to say why they want why they want this specific job, why they will be good at it. Then the body, which I usually bullet point with the strongest aspects of their resume, is in the middle. And then the last paragraph, which is again somewhat templated, is why they want to work for this specific company. And those are keywords from the job description about what the specific role requires that go into the last paragraph, and keywords from the company description that go into the top paragraph. And they basically give you the keywords. So if someone says they want somebody who has done UX design in consumer goods, you would better put on your resume that you had UX design in consumer goods. Now that's very specific. I should give you an example of excellent time management skills, strong verbal and written communication. If those are in the job description, you want to make sure those are in your cover letter or in your resume. So you can do a little tweaking, and the ocular reader will pick up on that and move you along to the next round.
Mm-hmm. And which resume form is usually the best one, like the chronological, the functional, and the both? Which type of resume do you recommend in these situations?
I don't think there's one perfect resume format. I use one that is there's a couple of key things, and these are all in the book. You need to focus not on what you've done, but what you've accomplished. You need to make it very easy to read. The latest study from Indeed said that an average recruiter looks at your resume for 7.4 seconds. So you need to basically it has to be one page. There's no question about that until you're at least 10 years out or more. So what you need to do on that one page is tell your story as quickly as you possibly can. So if you have a story where you are, you're showing where you went to college, you're showing what your summer jobs are, you're showing maybe what computer skills you learned, or what language skills you have, someone's going to look at that in their 7 seconds and say, I don't get it. I don't understand why they're applying to a marketing role, an entry-level digital agent's role at a digital marketing agency. You need to somehow tie that together to say, maybe it's a sentence at the top. Some people love them, some people hate them. I say, use it if it helps, if it's not clear. New grad with excellent written and verbal communication skills, some social media experience, seeking a role in entry-level digital media agency. So the trick is to tell your story very quickly and use whatever tools you can to make that happen. I like a lot of white space, a lot of very concise, cogent stories of what you accomplished, presentation of your skills, easy to read, and some kind of summary that ties it all together if it's not obvious.
Mm-hmm. And what advice can you give, like, for a career changer?
Career transitions, those are, so I would say one of the most important things is that you can't run away from something. You need to run towards something. You really need to figure out what it is that you want up front, because if I'm interviewing you to come from a career change, and it's totally an open field. Like, let's say you're selling financial products and you want to sell real estate. if you can sell retirement products, you can absolutely sell real estate. What I want to know is you're just not bored with financial products. I want to know you love real estate. What I want to also know is that you've been researching it, you love it. Give me examples. Tell me what you've been doing about real estate. Tell me why it's a passion for you. I also want to hear you say the lingo. I want to know that you understand how, various types of real estate impact various types of buyers. What kind of features various buyers are looking for. What makes someone pay more for something? What makes someone pay less for something? Every industry has its own acronyms, has its own kind of in buzzwords. Every industry has like a learning curve you can pick up publicly. So I want to hear you talk like you're already a real estate agent. I don't want to hear any acronyms from the financial services industry or from your old life. I want to prove, again, the job always goes to the person who wants it the most. I want to prove that you are committed to this, that you are not running away from something that you maybe did poorly at, or you hate your boss and it's a whim. And I want to know that you have done all your research and your homework.
Mhm.
Um, for personally, rather than at the hiring manager side, I work with people a lot who just come to me with what I call the Sunday scaries. And that means they're just, they have a weird feeling at night that they just, on Sunday nights, that they just are not that psyched to go to their job, but they don't know what it means in terms of where they should be or where they want to be. And we go through
Mm.
an analysis about, what do they really want quantitatively, qualitatively, and just look at the whole picture. Their commute, people they work with. Do they want their boss's job? Do they want to work in an area that has a great coffee place you can walk to? Do they not care about that? Will they be in the suburbs? How much, hybrid remote versus in the office they want to be? Just look at, would they be willing to travel 1 week a year, or will they not give up going to, 1 week a month, or would they not give up going to any lacrosse games? Really look at the whole picture and think about what an ideal lifestyle financial return would be, and just think about what that means, and then start thinking about what that would translate into, and also what kind of work they like to do. I sort of forgot that part, but that's pretty part. Quantitatively, qualitatively, elements of what interests them, what they do and don't like about their jobs, what they will and will not like. Sometimes it's not a career transition. Sometimes it's a job transition. Sometimes it's putting up with, it's not what they're not that unhappy where they are. It's the best option for them. They just need to maybe get more involved in other things in their life and not make work their first priority.
Mm.
So it's really interesting work to do. But what I provide is a framework to help think through from the Sunday scaries to having a plan.
Mhm.
And that's really rewarding work.
Mhm. Now that the person is hired, like say you get the job in real estate, congratulations, now you're hired. Now for the big challenge for the company or a manager, how do you keep those employees, and how do you keep them engaged? It's like you got the employee, they got the job. Now how do you keep them? Keep them satisfied, you keep them happy, you keep them motivated. How do
Yeah.
they keep them happy and engaged?
Well, I'll jump from my example to the results of some of the studies that have been coming out from the Great Resignation, and collectively, a couple things are going on. One of them is that people feel undervalued. They don't feel like they're being recognized for the work that they do and rewarded for what they do. And even though money comes up, it's really not money. Most of the studies that are coming out are that it's really not money. It's that they're being told, good job, being told, you've qualified for some professional development because you've done such a great job on this. Some of it is feeling connected and validated to the organization. I believe that, or anecdotally, that as companies have gotten way more focused on way more things, and the pace of corporate life, management life, executive life has sped up so much with so much more on their plate, management has become a skill that's been almost forgotten. I know it's not very well rewarded at all. I do believe that they're returning to the basics. Is how you keep your employees happy. So that real estate manager I would recommend doing a couple of things. The first is to really, really explain what it is that the person needs to do in great detail. Some companies don't even have, a full written job description. They've even let that go. Most companies in general are kind of bumping along. It's nobody's fault. Sometimes those things get left by the wayside. It's up to a manager to explain to a new employee what it is they absolutely are expected to do, to explain what they as a manager expect performance-wise, what their expectations are. It's also their job as a third thing to listen, and listen to probably repeat back to the manager what they understand their accountabilities to be and the performance expectations to be. And if there's any, gray areas or the person stumbles at all, really go deep into that and make sure that that's crystal clear and written down somewhere if possible. And then the fourth thing would be to listen. Just really listen to that person and listen to, why did you pick this? How do you think you're going to do? What do you need from me? And then the fifth thing would be establish communications. And one of the reasons is that management practices have fallen off is purely time. And also kind of a fear of employees to get performance reviews. Usually a performance review means, oh my God, I'm going to be told what I did wrong. And that needs to be kind of switched over to thinking about Tom Brady, pardon my Boston reference.
I mean, that's no problem.
He's coached, probably 15, 18 times a day on what he's doing wrong. And he's the GOAT, right? So you want to improve, you got to be coached, which means you got to get time with your management, which means you got to be explained. It's got to be explained to you what you can be doing better on a regular basis, not before it's too late. And I think one of the traps of corporate America, I may do one of my books maybe on this, is what I call management by least resistance, which is an employee comes in, they get asked to produce a deliverable. The deliverable goes to their boss. Their boss finds a couple of mistakes. They say, oh, it's going to be easier to just complete this, do this myself. That continues to happen. The employee has no idea. They're not meeting expectations. The boss is getting frustrated because they keep correcting mistakes, and the employee thinks they're doing great. And 6 months go by and they get a performance review, and the manager says, you're not doing great here. And the employee's like, what? Are you kidding me? And they've never even had a chance. So that's being unrecognized, being undervalued, and being disconnected. So I think communication is at the root of a lot of that. I think a lot of executives and a lot of managers aren't great also at just explaining what's going on in the company, giving some top-down communication about why certain decisions are being made. That's pretty classic. I mean, obviously you can't tell everybody in the company what decisions are being made with what data and executive level, but there are a lot, I think executives and management can do a lot better.
And it sounds like it too. And there's also one more thing in the book, College to Career, explain tools, tips, and confidence to job search. Also, the one thing that has been overlooked and getting popular back once again is the recruiting events, and also college university partnership as well too. Recruiting fairs are pretty much coming back again after the pandemic.
They are. Although I will say they focus more on really the stars. So, it's expensive for a company to recruit on campus, or even virtually. So they're really gonna, my client, I have kind of a couple levels of college to career clients. The clients who are really kind of stars and they want to get into the really elite firms, and then the people who, like me, were political science majors or history majors or English or French literature majors, and they're kind of like, how does this, if I don't want to go to law school, how does this translate into what I want to do? The people who are science majors or engineering majors or math stars or economic stars or accounting stars, they get recruited by into very high paying jobs by the firms that specifically do that. Healthcare consulting, McKinsey, global management consulting firms like McKinsey. Deloitte does a lot of on-campus recruiting. These are huge firms that take large amounts of kids out of college every year and put them into programs that have existed forever There have been 10 classes behind them. There'll be 10 classes in front of them. They run like well-oiled machines. Those are great jobs to get, but you got to be a star to get into one of those programs. So my book is helps those kids, but it also is kind of a book for the rest of us who don't really quite know how to make that transition specifically, or don't have the background that those companies are looking for.
And where can we find your book again?
Anywhere. It's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble, it's on Google, it's on Apple Books, and it's been picked up by some independent bookstores as well. So
That's really amazing. And for those in the job market, it's a great book to get by Amy Feind Reeves, College to Career Explain Tools, Tips, and Confidence for your job search. And what's coming up for Amy, we'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for early needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's The Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with author Amy Feind Reeves of College to Career Explained after this time out. We're back with author Amy Feind Reeves of College to Career Explained here on The Mike Wagner Show. And you just covered everything in a nutshell about, job placement, coaching, and how to find a job, and, taking what colors your parachute to the next level. It's a great thing. And what else can we expect from you in 2022 and beyond, Amy?
well, I'm losing a daughter to the Midwest this year, Mike. Your stomping ground. She's going to be starting at Northwestern in the journalism school, and that's going to be my empty nest. So I'm going to take my show on the road. I'm going to be hoping to do much more in readings in independent bookstores across the nation, as well as showing up at colleges, and also delivering my message to as much as I can, to working with first generation college students. I work with a organization here in Boston called the United Tipnis Foundation, which helps support first generation college students, who have an alarmingly low rate of actually graduating from college.
Wow.
So I'm working with them to develop, provide my career skills and build a foundation for them to take what I have to offer and build it into their programs in terms of career and internship development. So that's a great deal of fun to really bring my message to that community to the extent that it can value. And I'm really, really happy to break out of the simply private coaching mode and deliver my message in a book that's affordable and can be widespread. And I'm very proud of the book. I really believe I'm very proud of the difference I've made in the lives of people who I've been able to work with. And I'm really hoping to make an impact on the lives of more people.
And certainly looking forward to as well on the road, Amy. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Gosh, I would have to say my husband, Doug Reeves, is an educator. He's a researcher and a writer in the education field. He's K-12 education field. He's written over 40 books. So, which is part of why I was like, well, I could write one, right? He works a lot in low income school districts around the country and does a lot to improve school performance. And he, like I was when I was a consultant, is very practical, very much on the ground. What can we do today to improve student performance? And uses very simple tools that have very high impact. And he's made a wider impact than I ever can. And I'm very proud of him. And I help people kind of one at a time. He helps them a school district at a time. And the work he does is fantastic. His company is called the Center for Creative Leadership. And the work he does with his people is really fantastic. And he's working a lot in Newark, New Jersey, which is a school district which has had low performance, and a school district that both my grandfather and father and aunts and uncles went to. So I'm really proud of the work he's doing there.
I am so happy for your husband. I'll tell you that. Education is so important. That's so amazing, very
Yeah,
inspiring.
yeah.
And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
I would say, most people approach a job search thinking that the best thing they can do is present their skills and experience in a way that is cogent and compatible to what the job is that they're applying for. I would say that's not the best way to do that. I would say what they need to do is present their skills and experience in a way that cogently expresses how they can provide value to the company. I think most people, especially Gen Y and Gen Z, are trained to take it halfway. And what can really set you apart at all levels, I think most senior levels really know this because they're not being brought in to take tasks and accountabilities and do them. They're bringing in to drive change or to really take an organization to the next level. What you really need to do is present yourself as, yes, I'm very detail oriented. I can handle pressure. I'm very well organized. I have great marketing skills. I've moved the needle, but here's how I can add value for you, the company I'm applying for you. Here's how I see, what your market is. Here's how I see what your customers are. Here's how I can, in this role, make a difference for you. Here's how I can make my manager's job easier based on how I come in and use the skills that I have. And that's what you can really do in this market to set yourself apart when there's hundreds of the same resumes applying for a role.
That is very good advice. And if you're out in the job market, please pay attention to this here. We're with author Amy Feind Reeves of College to Career Explained Tools, Tips, and Confidence for Your Job Search by Epigraph Books on the Mike Wagner Show. Amy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot from you. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your book?
Yep, I'm jobcoachamy.com. I'm going to have some online webinars shortly, and there are additional products on my site. There are some free resources, and my book is available on all major books as both a paperback and in download. And I'm going to be doing a few more things on the net and then hitting the road, and that'll all be on jobcoachamy.com. I'm on Twitter at jobcoachamyf. I'm on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook.
We will certainly check that out. Once again, Amy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love having you back. We wish you all the best, and you definitely have a great future ahead.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciated being here.